So guys, this is what the runner beans should look like once they start to dry out. So I need to start harvesting these because the weather has really been against them. Whether or not they're going to be usable, let me see if I can open this one with one hand. And this is what we're looking for. I mean, the color in these guys is just so spectacular. And this is what your fully matured runner beans look like, which is awesome. So I'm hoping that they'll dry out enough to be able to overwinter some of these in some jars. We can cook them throughout. I'm not that great at overwintering stuff because we normally eat everything that we grow. However, it would be really nice if we could save some of these. I mean, the size of these are huge. It's just one bean in there. Amazing. Safe to say that our runner beans have been a huge success this year, and we always have good harvests with them. But look at these guys. These are our Jerusalem artichoke, which have been planted in our second garden in the courtyard area. They actually look like massive sunflowers without the flowers, that is, and they are absolutely huge. I had to tie this back with a piece of rope because they were so massive. So hopefully lurking down here in the soil will be some Jerusalem artichokes, which we will have to dig up and figure out how to prepare them. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Also have some runner beans down here that has definitely dried out, so I'll harvest these because no point in them staying on there. But absolutely great harvest season this year, guys. No complaints from me. We're already looking forward to next year, planting some of these things, using some of what we've learnt, and all in all, just having a great time growing stuff in the garden. My rhubarb plant has all but died back now, and this is the second year that it's been growing here, and we didn't harvest any this year, but the plan is to start harvesting next year when it bounces back. So really looking forward to making some lovely pie with our rhubarb. And we've got a solitary pumpkin vine around here with a solitary pumpkin. Again, I didn't do a lot of preparation and didn't do a lot of care. A nice slug on there. A lot of care with our pumpkins this year, so you know, I'm not looking for a huge harvest, but I'll take what I can get. All in all, really good harvest. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I think summer's well and truly over. It is quite a chilly day today, quite windy, overcast, and I think we're scheduled for some rain. I've just come out to the garden just to check to see what's going on. Still got some runner beans which I'm leaving on the vine. I'm not been harvesting these ones because I'm hoping that they will mature so we can have some dried beans, but they seem to be going rather slowly. I'm not sure if the lack of sunshine has anything to do with that, but we've got some pretty solid beans on here. But yeah, I'm hoping that they'll start to dry as they mature so we can harvest them. They tend to change color to a sort of yellow once they start to dry, but I've not seen that happen just yet. Nevertheless, just came to have a look in the garden as we were away yesterday, went to church, and yeah, not much else happened. I did plant a little pumpkin here which was planted late, and it's got the tiniest pumpkin ever growing on here, but I've made sure to leave it starting to trail up this trellis that we had here. But the season is practically over. I mean, we had some tomatoes here which not sure what's going on with them, if it's blight or just a change of temperature, but they've seen better days, that's for sure. My guess is something to do with blight. I'm not sure what blight looks like. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, it's been a wet old few days this week, in fact, and just came out to the garden to see what's up. Now I know in a few weeks we're gonna have to start cutting back all of this growth, all of the things which no longer are producing, like these sweet corns here. They've dried up. I need to get those pulled out, and just started to tidy things up really. Obviously our kale is still looking spectacular. I harvested some this week. I need to get some more off of that. We've got some chard here as well, which is looking good, but we're always battling with the slugs with this one. Unfortunately, they absolutely love this stuff. And we got pumpkins. We got a couple of larger pumpkins here, and these are nearly ready for harvesting. In fact, we could probably harvest that one, but I tend to leave them on the vine until they mature to their maximum. That way they will overwinter a lot better. So in a few weeks time, once this completely dies back, I'm just going to harvest these, cut it by the stem, put it in our outdoor space, and yeah, we'll just leave it for the next few months. Last year we had quite a lot of pumpkins, and we ended up having them all the way until January, February. We still had pumpkins, and we didn't even freeze any, guys. We just left them whole, and then we'd cut one, every other week or so, and then we would have that to make our soups and our stews, and honestly, it's just the best. We still got some tomatoes out here, which we can harvest. These are the yellow variety. I didn't plant these ones, they just sort of grew by the compost bin, seem to be enjoying themselves. So yeah, we need to harvest some of these tomatoes. Some smaller ones here. We've got another pumpkin hidden away, another good sized one. These ones aren't as big as the ones we had last year, that's for sure. But to be honest, I didn't put a lot of focus into growing pumpkins this year, hence why they're sort of just not as big as they normally are. We also have another one, I think, somewhere over here. Sometimes you find some hidden, which can be a surprise. There's one in the back just over here. Another decent little size, and we'll just leave that one to continue to mature. So yeah, all in all, we've got a few pumpkins, and I'm hoping that I might even find one hidden as we start to get rid of all this foliage. That's always a nice surprise. We still haven't harvested our chayotes. They're still on the vine, but yeah, you can see the weather is definitely changed, and so I'm not sure how it's going to affect them. They did have a lot of blossoms, but I'm presuming the colder temperature might have affected that. And remember what I said about how these guys love to climb. Every opportunity is already making its way up in that tree, our neighbor's trees next door. And if you let it, and if the weather was conducive, it will literally grow and wrap itself all around this massive tree for years to come. It's a plant that typically doesn't die back. Good morning to you, Mr. Rooster, always making your voice known. But yeah, look at this guy. I haven't harvested it because I want it to get nice and mature, but I think in the next week or so I probably will do just that. Like I was mentioning, it's got some blossom on here, but I'm not sure if there'll be enough time for these guys to get big and harden up. That would be fantastic. Next year what I'll try to do is to try and get this into the ground earlier, weather permitted. See if we can get a few more warmer weeks where we can actually grow these guys, but that's entirely up to the weather, so we leave that to the Almighty. So yeah, that's what we've got in the garden at the moment. Just gonna pop my head into the greenhouse and see what's up. Yeah, I've not been doing much in this greenhouse, and some strange reason this tomato bush seems to be getting ideas, because typically it would die back, but for some reason it's starting to ramp up production of new shoots, which is pretty funny. I guess it's a bit warmer in here. It's just under 20 degrees at the moment, but outside it's more like 12. So yeah, I've just decided to just leave it to just do its thing. But I will have to just cut this back, no doubt, as it's getting a lot colder. There is some tomatoes on here still, some decent sized beef tomatoes dotted around the place, so I'm hoping that these will just ripen. But what I think I'll do, I'll just trim back all these extra branches to allow all the energy to go into ripening these last few, because there's no point just letting them grow indefinitely as it's just one big tangled mess. I think growing tomatoes in the greenhouse directly in the ground was definitely a success, in the sense that we got really massive tomatoes compared to the ones outside. I mean, look at this thing. That is absolutely huge. Take up the whole surface of the palm of my hand, which is not a small pair of hands to say the least. So yeah, that was definitely a success to grow them in the greenhouse, but they do take up a lot of space. That's the only downside. So yeah, I think that's on my to-do list, to trim all of these back to the bare minimum and hopefully get these guys ripened before it gets too cold. And surprisingly, we have loads of peppers now growing. A bit late to the party, guys, because I was hoping that we would have loads of peppers before, but the weather, like I said, wasn't that great. It's interesting that now that it's getting cooler, we've got so much more blossoms. Even this is where we had peppers growing before, and they've blossomed again, which I didn't realize that peppers could blossom twice in one season. But like I said, I doubt we'll have enough time for these to mature, but you know, we'll just leave it to do its thing. It's really cool to see. These ones are decent size, so I think we will get some good sized peppers off of these guys. There's another one there, and the ones in the back, so many blossoms, which is so cool. So yeah, we've got peppers coming through, and we had a courgette plant which rooted in here and started growing, but I don't think there's any pollinators in here, so all of the baby courgettes just sort of fell off. But it's pretty cute to actually see these guys growing. Next year I will definitely be planting some courgettes. I didn't plant any this year, foolishly, and yeah, but next year we'll definitely get a plant in the ground because these guys just grow and grow and grow. So looking forward to that. And I think that's about it in here. We've got some spinach and some kale in here as well, which is looking good. But for the most part, it's just a few leafy greens along with our peppers and our tomatoes. And yeah, it's really getting cold, guys. It's amazing how things can just change in a heartbeat. A week ago we had like some blistering heat, and all of a sudden we've gone the complete opposite, where it's now just freezing cold. But such is the weather with the climate that we live in. We've got some of my plants over here, my flowers. I mean, this wild grass, I picked it up a few years ago, and now it's just flourishing. It dies down each year and comes right back. I think it looks really pretty in our little raised bed that we've made. It's got these ones as well, which is a different variety. Just look really stunning. Yeah, our sunflowers have been massacred by slugs, squirrels. The squirrels have literally eaten all of the seeds out of these, so no doubt next year we'll be having some growing down below, as always is the case. So need to chop all of that back and clear it out. Yeah, not my favorite part of the season. We still got some chocolate tomatoes. I mean, this thing just keeps fruiting like nobody's business. Honestly, we've picked so many, and yet still it's just going and going and going. I'd love to see how these perform in warmer climates, because it's produced so much in this short summer that we've got here in the UK. Can only imagine what it'd be like in a more tropical environment. But these are so sweet and nice. Highly recommend them, guys. And lastly, we've got our cucumber plant over here, which has given us so many cucumbers this summer. Really been impressed. I think next year what I've definitely got to do is quite early build a trellis along this back wall, for example, so that it can run appropriately across. It was just sort of like a makeshift little frame that we had used to put a little ladder for it to climb, but it's still done pretty well, all things considered. We've got another large one there, needs to harvest, and another large one down here. So I mean, this thing is just incredible. And what we've been doing is juicing our cucumbers, because we've just been having so many. Sometimes it's hard to eat all of them. You know, even the kids, as much as they love them, it gets a bit overwhelming. So what we've been doing is just juicing them, because at the end of the day, you just want to get those vitamins and nutrients in the body, which is never a bad thing. And so that's what we've been doing. There's probably another one lurking somewhere. see the leaves are starting to die back now, going yellow. It's not growing like it used to, so it's definitely coming to the end of its season, which is not a bad thing. All good things must come to an end, or at least a break. And I've still yet to harvest all of my strawberry runners, which is quite a mess at the moment. A few weeks ago I had actually potted up some soil and put some of the runners in, and these guys have just taken off. So underneath most of these we've got little pots which needs to be basically severed from the mother plant so that we can actually have some strawberries for next year. I might give some away or sell some, I don't know, whatever, but we've got tons. And interestingly, we've got some strawberries actually fruiting in this raised bed area, this strawberry patch. Not that we've got any sunshine to help ripen them up, but you know, they're still doing their thing. If you search between all these leaves, I'm surprised with how many leaves have come up. Didn't realize this is how strawberries normally behave at the end of the season, but yeah, this is all covered with strawberry leaves. And yeah, so that's about it, guys. I think we're gonna be clearing up in the weeks to come and harvesting what remains as the weather's starting to shift. Now, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I forgot to mention this with my chayote plant, my Chocho plant, because someone has told me to actually dig it up and overwinter it in the house, cut back all of these sort of trailing leaves. But another one of my friend who lives in London says that their friend who they know with a Chocho plant actually covers it with mulch and all sorts of things, wrap it in plastic and just chop all of these running vines off and then leave it in the ground over winter, and hopefully it should stay dormant and not die off, and then come spring, you know, as it starts to warm up, it can spring back into action. So I'm going to give that a go, because for one, I'm just curious to see if that could actually work, and two, that will save me a lot of drama of, you know, digging this out and maintaining it in the house over winter. And I mean, if it doesn't work, then I'll just simply have to get another Chocho from the store and try to sprout it and then see what happens from there. So that's the plan anyway. Whether or not it will work, time will tell, but I think I'm going to give that a go, because next year I definitely want to try and grow this lovely vegetable. Hopefully we'll have even more success. So yeah, I'm gonna crack on and get to work, and hopefully we can you know, get some of this stuff cleaned up. I think one thing which I'm looking forward to harvesting is this plant over here, which is a Jerusalem artichoke. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but it's not an artichoke in the manner in which we know, but it's actually a root vegetable that grows in the ground like a potato. So I'm hoping to dig this up and harvest it, try and figure out a way of cooking it, because we've never actually prepared it. We grew some last year before we even knew what it was, and so this year we're hoping we can get a good harvest from it and we can make some meals. I mean, look at this Chocho plant, guys. It's literally starting to kick off. This needed another month and a half and we would have been moving. I mean, look at this. They're popping up everywhere, and you see how it's just trailed all the way over onto these plants, climbing over everything, and also on the fence going that way. So yeah, really been impressed with how it's been growing, guys. Amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up because got tons to do today. So I hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care.